Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Life After Sports. It's your host, Serena Johnson. Welcome back, y'all. Before we reveal who's behind the second mic, I'm going to go ahead and say a prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for waking us up today, Lord, when you know you didn't have to. Lord, we are just so thankful for everything that you are doing in our lives, Lord. Just continue to protect us and watch over us each and every day. And Lord, we just thank you for everything. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Oh, oh. That's a little deep voice for y'all. For those of you that are tuning in onto YouTube, you already see who my special guest is. For those that are listening onto Podbean and Spotify, you don't know who it is yet. So let's get into it. Yes, my special guest is Slim. Slim, say what's up to the people.
What up, y'all?
Y'all, I'm so happy to have Slim here today. I've known her for about 8+ years as well. Again, when I reach out to people, it's not a common thing for like them to say yes right away. But she's been supporting me from the jump. I know that when I started all of this, she was very helpful with a lot of ideas and things like that. And she really pushed me to just do it. She knows that I was going through a lot of things. And she was like, you just need to take your time, not rush anything. She's like, just take your time, it'll fall. And here we are. So thank you for that.
Of course.
So we are here to just know who Slim is, and we want to know what sports you played and things like that, and where it all began. And then we want to know where you're at today. The whole thing about life after sports is we've played sports together, right? That's what we have in common. And then we've all had a life after that sport. Whether you played 1 year, 2 year, it don't matter, right? Something has happened after that. And so we're going to get into all of that with Slim, but let's go ahead and just get into, where it all began and what sport exactly was it that you played?
Right. So taking you guys way back to the beginning, sports for me started all the way freshman year of high school. It just really started with my best friend at the time. Her name was Brianna Robinson, but she's now Brianna Stokes. So congratulations on that.
Ooh, congratulations.
But best friend at the time, she encouraged me to go try out for the basketball team. And I was like, not really wanting to do it, but she pushed me like, come on, let's do it together. Let's do it together. Never played sports before that. No sports. Didn't know anything about it. So we tried out for the team. I made the team, and at the time there was a lot of girls that didn't make the team. So I didn't understand why I made the team, but I was like, hey, I'm here. I'm here, right? So, hey, I'm here. So, practice comes around and the coach is like, do you know how to do a layup? And I lied because I was nervous. I thought I was supposed to know. So I lied. I was like, yeah, I know how to do a layup. So he's like, all right, show me. And I shot the ball with 2 hands. Shot it like this too. Went up and shot it out 2 hands, man.
Now let me ask you this, because you're talking about, I lied to him. But did you know to do at least 1, 2 up? No. So how did you do it?
No, I didn't. I shot the basketball. I didn't
like
know what
you shot.
I didn't know what a layup was. I didn't know what a layup was. I literally I didn't know no terminology in basketball. So I learned it from a 87-year-old man. My coach, we called him Grandpa. He coached Division I basketball back in his day, men's basketball. But then he was a freshman women's basketball coach for a long time. But he's the one who introduced me to basketball and showed me, the ways. So I played my freshman year on the freshman team at Elsinore High School. So I played there. After my freshman year, they moved me up to varsity. Still wasn't understanding why am I getting rewarded?
Was you like a good height?
Yeah, I was about 5'9". So I only grew a couple inches after high school.
You told him.
Yeah. So I still just didn't really understand. I'm like, okay, because I saw other players that were talented. Like I thought, they were more talented than I. I didn't understand athleticism yet. I guess people always said I was athletic, but I didn't understand it.
And as a coach, us being on the other side now, it's like we see potential in somebody. So that's probably exactly what this grandpa did.
Yeah, this old man just, and then it was cool too because Elsinore was a family environment. So the head coach for the varsity team was actually, he was married to grandpa's daughter.
Okay.
So it was a family environment.
Okay.
So, I went up to varsity, and sophomore year, I'm starting helping at the point guard position, starting point guard.
There go their point guard
Yeah,
position.
yep. Starting at the point guard position, I played a little bit. Like, I was just interchangeable 1 through 5, and the other 4 starters were seniors. So it was interesting. But
and so, what high school did you play at?
I played at Elsinore High School.
Elsinore High School. Okay.
Elsinore High School.
Were y'all always good?
We were average. We were okay.
Okay.
We lost a good amount of games and we won a good amount of games. It was always kind of like a 50-50 every year. But I would say my sophomore year was the best at Elsinore.
Okay.
So I played at Elsinore all the way up until my junior year. I went over to Lakeside my senior year because they were better, and then also the coaches there, they promised me things like, we'll help you out, get you to the next level, things like that.
Things that you want to hear.
Things that I wanted to hear. So went over to Lakeside High School, which we were good over there. We were good. We had a lot of talent on the team. So, went over there and pretty much, actually, by the end of my basketball season, I still didn't have any like looks or, whatever you call it. Coach Fonte just happened to see me at a playoff game. She was recruiting somebody else.
Yeah. Okay.
So she came across me. So that was God's plan because, I didn't know what I was going to do after high school. College wasn't even on my thing. That's how naive I was.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, this is it. You just play for 4 years and this is it.
Right. You just play for 4 and call it a day.
Yeah. Even though, I developed love for the game though. Through those 4 years, I went crazy during my freshman year. I spent outside all night. I would freaking leave out the house 10 p.m. I'm playing until 7 in the morning. Got to be at school by 7:45.
Yeah.
So I just go in, shower real quick, and then my dad never knew I was outside.
Yeah.
I was so obsessed. I would carry a basketball around campus and I just dribble it. In the classroom, I'm dribbling it, and the teacher's just like, put that damn ball down, like, getting mad at me. But I mean, I love the game, so.
Yeah. So throughout your high school career, though, was there anything that challenged you? Did you have any injuries or anything like that? Because I know that some people, what's the word I'm looking for? Because sometimes it could be middle school, high school, whatever year it is, they could go through an injury.
Yeah.
And then it could either take them out.
Yeah.
Or it could bring them back and they can come back stronger.
Yeah.
Now, for me, I was very fortunate to not have an injury.
Right.
Like that took me out.
Yeah.
So did you have any of those challenges?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the same though. Like I didn't have any injuries that took me out, but the simple roll your ankle type of thing.
Oh yeah.
The closest I ever came to being taken out, which I wasn't because I was tough, I guess. I was a tough kid and I rolled my ankle. We were playing Marietta Valley. Rolled my ankle at the beginning of the game, but we knew they were a good team. They needed me to win. So, I'm still trying to play through it, but it hurt so bad. I'm trying to play through it. They call a timeout and they're like, let's wrap you up real quick. So mistake number 1, pull my shoe off.
Yeah.
Tape me up real tight, put shoe back on. So I'm playing through the game. We ended up losing by 1. So it was super frustrating because I was in a lot of pain the whole game.
Yeah,
but
and you still went out there and you still dealt with it.
Still went out there, dealt with it.
Them.
Yeah, won or lost by 1. But yeah, my ankle was tore up for about a good 2 weeks. It was tore up. It was tore up.
Now, did you guys at any point in any of your 4 years, 3 years, because you said you transferred.
Yeah.
Did you go to any CIF, state, any of those?
Yeah, we played. We never made it to state, but we made it to CIF.
Games?
Yeah, we made it in playoffs every year. So.
Yeah. And how'd you guys do in there?
We did well. I think 1 year we won the first playoff game, so we moved on to the second.
Okay.
So we did okay. We just that area is not known for having a lot of talent, so it was difficult. And the coach was legit. He wasn't the type of coach. Nowadays there's coaches that go out and recruit kids from different schools.
Right.
He just worked with what he had, so it was raw. It was raw and real as far as the girls that that came to him. That he just worked with what he had and he did something with it.
Yeah.
He didn't go and pick his players. He did something with what he had.
Right.
So that was cool.
That's good. No, yeah. And so was it like because I remember you saying that you just so happened to go to
Right.
what was it,
Playoff
a
game?
playoff
Yeah,
game,
playoff
and
game.
Coach Fonte seen you?
Yeah.
So how did
Yeah.
that come about?
So, I went to that playoff game. We played, I believe, I can't remember exactly if we won or lost that one. But I was approached after the game, approached by Fonte, little Fonte, super energetic, man. Fonte was like, she was just like all over the place, like, yeah, like, you know about MSJC, you got to come play for us, and you ever thought about playing in college? And I'm like, no.
And I bet that's exactly your answer too.
Yeah,
No.
I was like, no, because I'm just like, I was straightforward. I didn't know. I didn't know. I was young. I was always super young, younger than everybody else, because my birthday's late. So I was 17 when I left high school. So super young, but super naive to not really knowing what's going on in the world, kind of still like la la land all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, shoot, I still want to play basketball. So sure,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying. But surprisingly, you know what? I kind of did forget. Before Fonte, I actually was being recruited by Palomar. I was supposed to go to Palomar. I was supposed to go to Palomar, and I thought that's where I was going. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go to Palomar.
Now I know that because leading into that,
Yeah.
that kind of goes with another episode that
Yeah.
that we have. Did you know about any of the history of Palomar? Did you know that MSJC and Palomar were?
No.
Okay.
I didn't. Nah, I didn't know anything.
But did you have that interest though in going to Palomar?
Yeah, I did, because I just had the interest of continuing basketball, because
Okay.
Lee was the first, which is the head coach at Palomar, amazing coach. She was the first coach to approach me and made me feel like I can still go on.
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, so I just like I just love that. So it was hard making the decision to go to MSJC. But like I said, going back to Fonte approached me, and like the vibe was just so like infectious. Like she's just such a bubbly person. Like as soon as we talked, I looked at my dad and said, I'm going there.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to Palomar. I'm going there.
Yeah.
Because something said I need to be there.
Yeah.
And it was just like, yeah, that's so I was mature enough to have the conversation with Lee, like, hey, I'm more interested in going to MSJC. So, those are never easy conversations, but you got to do it. You got to do it.
They're not. And let's take a moment on that too, because as you get older, right, there's always going to be decision making, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. It's always a lesson learned though,
right,
regardless if it is good or bad.
Right.
So it is always a lesson learned. So the fact that you just said that about you were mature enough to have that conversation, there's always a point in time, and I'm speaking to our young kids out there that are in sports now currently, or that are thinking about doing sports. Just have that conversation with your coach. And I always emphasize to my girls too, right now. I always tell them, like, communication to me, like, it's big. So you're gonna, like, I want you to tell me, like, hey coach, I can't make it to practice, or whatever the case is. Like, to me, that's really important. That just goes to show you that you are mature enough, to have the conversation, whether it is easy or hard. I know that, like you said, it's not easy having that conversation, because that is a huge step in her life. Having to make the decision of where she wants to play. One could have been closer than the other. One could have been more successful than the other.
Right.
Or one could, whatever the case is. But how do you feel? How'd you feel when you made that decision?
I mean, the decision was easy for me. It was instant, literally, like right off the first conversation. So making that decision, and I didn't even know, I didn't know history. I didn't know who or what MSJC was. I didn't know Fonte personally. It was just the initial approach. I was just so trusting. At that young age, it wasn't a problem for me. So, it felt great to make that decision. It felt like, oh wow, like I'm gonna go somewhere. I'm gonna go play college, and being a first generation, child to go and play college was a great feeling too.
And all as well as continuing your education.
Yeah.
Because that's always a good thing as well. So as you transitioned from high school into college, what is the difference? What would you say was your most challenging thing
Yeah.
transitioning, if you even had a challenging
Yeah.
thing.
I think it is challenging. You know, it was challenging you know, schedule wise, like, you know, being able to you have, you know, your weights, you have your practice, you have your schooling, you know, being able to manage your schoolwork with basketball practice, like those are the major challenges. I think uh, you know, being prepared for basketball athletically and
Right.
condition wise and things like that. That kind of came naturally for me. Wasn't necessarily challenging. I learned a lot basketball skill wise. Definitely, you can always develop and get better, but being able to stick with it and, you know, get through the conditioning and the drills, like that was nothing because I loved it. If you love the game, you know, you can do
Then
it.
it'll come easy.
Yeah, it'll come easy.
Well, not too easy.
Yeah,
Like for
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Some of us still struggle, especially with Coach Fonte's workouts.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So with you having that first year at MSJC, how many years did you play at MSJC?
Played 2 years.
2 years.
Freshman and sophomore. Yeah.
Okay. So you playing that first year,
Yeah.
what was your thoughts going into like your first game, or even the workouts? How were the workouts for you? Were they you said?
Yeah, I think my first year I was still a bit naive and not understanding, you know, what was going on. I was still kind of like just listen to the coaches and do what they're telling me to do. Not really knowing where it was going. I was just like, I want to play. Like that's all I cared about and was worried about. So, you know, that first year was just like just play ball for me. Like still was just do what they said. Like I don't know why I'm starting. I don't know why I'm playing all these minutes, but I'm doing it. So I'm gonna just play. Like I didn't understand.
Yeah. And so did you, now let's go back to high school and all that for a minute. The player that you were, the 1 through 5, because that's what you were able to play. With high school and all that, did you guys have set plays? Did you ever struggle with set plays? Because I know sometimes they do, especially with high school. Now some people might get it down more than others. You know what I mean? But is that something that you ever struggled with in life?
Yeah, in high school, I was horrible with plays. We had a few, not very many, like some out of bounds plays. Maybe 1 or 2 set plays. It wasn't a lot because I was a kid that didn't get it. I did not get it, and the coach at the time, it wasn't.
And that's okay.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily that he was a bad coach, but there was no extra like, oh, write the plays down or go over them later on. Things like that. I didn't really experience that until college. But I've always struggled with grasping plays right off the bat. So once I got to college, you know, I had to do the extras. I had to watch film. I had to watch myself. I had to watch every spot, every position. I had to write it down. Like plays did not come easy for me.
And especially with them,
I
can vividly remember Coach Mo just putting plays after plays, and he's like, okay. And then what I really struggled with was when he would say, remember that drill we used to do, and then you take it out, go down the other end, he's calling out a play where you got to run it, and then you run back to the other side, run it again. No. No. And then he had me at the point guard. Baby.
And the thing is too, you know, Serena and I shared point guard. My freshman year, she was a sophomore, so it was a challenge because then, you know, we're in practice, we're both doing the point guard, and then he pushes me to the 3 and she's the point guard, and then he pushes her to the 2 and I'm the point guard. So it was confusing because you have to know all the spots. So it got confusing at times.
But I think you did a fairly well job though of adjusting and understanding what your position was on the team.
Right.
Which is a beast.
Right.
But so I think you did a really good job though at adjusting. So you said that you struggled. So going into MSJC, how did you do? How do you think you did?
That first year, like I said, it still was a little like not really there. So all the plays, you know, like I did watch film. Fonte was like, no, you need to learn this because you got to be on the court, you know. And being one of 2 freshmen that started freshman year, me and Brittany Thomas, and then we had 3 sophomore starters. You know, that was challenging too because we filled big shoes. You know, they expected a lot of us as a freshman. So, but I think, you know, with those plays, like just having that extra sit down time and studying them, like that is important. If you cannot catch on the plays, like you need to write it down. You need to watch it.
Get some extra time.
Yeah, you need to ask the coaches to break it down.
Yeah.
You got to get that extra time in.
Yeah, definitely don't be afraid to ask for help. That's why they're there.
Yeah.
And if you're not comfortable with talking to the head coach, maybe ask the assistant.
Right.
So after your first year, you played. Did you have any like really good accomplishments that you felt good with, like at the end of the season?
For the first year,
because the meetings.
Yeah.
The meetings be having me shaking in my boots.
Yeah.
But did you? Was there good things that was talked about?
Yeah, there was a lot of great things. We talked about like obviously in that end of the year meeting, like, okay, you're in your sophomore year.
Mm-hmm.
What are your goals? Because after this you got to go somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So where do you want to go? You want to go D1? You want to go D2? You want to go out of state? You want to stay in state?
Mm-hmm.
Those were conversations that were like good conversations because the coaches believed in me. They're like, you can go play D1, you can go play D2, you can play wherever the hell you want.
Yeah.
It's up to you, but you got to have the goals. And you got to make sure that you're meeting those goals and those expectations.
Right.
So the goals for me, I was for a D1, I'm a point guard because I'm small for a D1. I'm 5'10".
Right.
For a D2, it depends on which program I would have went into. The program I went into, I was a 4. So I was smaller. I mean, I was big for a D2.
Mm-hmm.
But if I would have went D1, point guard for
mm-hmm.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And so so did you have any, like, did they give you some medals? Did they, were you first team?
Yeah. So freshman year, I was first team freshman year.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I had maybe either one or two MVP medals.
Okay.
Freshman year. Yeah.
Something light.
Yeah. So it was just some light for the freshman year.
Your freshman year, because it's always a big deal.
Yeah.
Whether that be in high school or in college, I feel like your freshman year and senior year are like always super important. It's your debut.
Yeah.
It's like I don't really know what to expect.
Yeah.
Type of thing. And then by your senior year, you're like, I already know what to expect.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, with that being said, going into your second year at MSJC, how was that? Like, how was it with the new recruitments coming in?
Yeah.
Yeah,
my second year was a little difficult in the beginning because I had to deal with, I played with Brittany Thomas, who ended up getting injured and not being a part of my sophomore year. And, I thought her being a part of my sophomore year was huge for me as well, because we played very well together. She was a post, I was a point guard. We played very well, which complemented both of our games. So understanding that she was going to be redshirting and not playing was kind of a hard concept to grasp.
Okay.
But we also had a star freshman coming in, DeLacy Brown. She was going to be killer at the point. So I had to learn kind of to share the ball at the point, steal again, and get pushed off and go to the 3 spot because I could drive to the basket. Sometimes I had to play inside. But the start of my sophomore year, I had goals. I had 3 goals. Goal number 1, I wanted to be MVP of all 5 tournaments. Goal number 2, I wanted to be MVP of the conference. Goal number 3, I wanted to be an all-state player. I didn't reach 2 of those goals, and one of them I didn't reach just because it had to be a political world out there.
Right.
It had to be a political world. One of the goals I got MVP of 4 out of 5 tournaments. The only reason why I didn't get that 5th one was because another player on my team was playing very well that weekend. I did stand out more than she did, but she deserved it, but I didn't understand it at the time.
It's okay.
Yeah, at the time, didn't understand it, but it's all right. Yeah, being humble. At the time I wasn't. But at the time I wasn't, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I did get MVP of the conference, so that was another accomplishment that I accomplished. And then I was short by points for all-state player. So that's why I didn't get all-state.
Yeah. And it's so tricky, with all that stuff and how that can trickle down, like points, minutes, like literally all of that matters.
Political.
And so after your sophomore year, did you know that you still wanted to continue playing?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, there was no doubt. Yeah. I still love the game.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
did you wanted to stay in state, out of state? What were you
Yeah,
looking
I
more towards?
was in state, close to home, didn't want to leave. I was like super stern on that. And so
Yeah.
that made recruiting that makes recruiting hard if you're not a great player because now you only have so many schools you can go to, that are close to home, especially if you want to go D2 or D1.
Mhm.
I didn't there's not very many options. You get D1, you get UCR, you got CBU, you
Mhm.
get some schools out San Diego, then D2 you got about 4 options.
Right.
Being able to drive within an hour and a half, 2 hours, or
Yep.
whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, well, that leads me into my next thing that I want to ask you. How many schools did you have recruiting you after your sophomore year at MSJC?
Yeah, I can't give you a solid number
Mhm.
because
Was it too many?
it was too many.
It was too many.
It was too many,
Oh,
but
no.
it was every NAIA you could think of because obviously, come on now.
Yeah.
Every NAIA you could think of. I had several Division twos, which were to be honest, I only had two that were close to home.
Mhm.
I had Dominguez Hills and Cal Poly Pomona, and then I had several out of states. I could go anywhere out of state. And then D1 was kind of I never even looked into it because I knew I didn't want to go D1 for other reasons as far as fear. I had fear of flying.
Oh,
So I knew D1, you had to fly a lot more. And I knew D2 you had to fly, but it was more so just like up north, hour
or
flights.
like to Texas
Yeah.
or something.
Something that wasn't crazy.
Yeah.
So D1, like I shied away from it, which obviously that affects me as a basketball player and like my limits. But I understood. I was like, I just couldn't do it at the time. I was like, nope. So it was D2. D2 was what I wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where'd you end up going?
So yeah, I ended up accepting a full ride scholarship to Cal Poly Pomona.
Mhm.
So I ended up going down to Cal Poly. Yeah.
So in all the years from freshman to senior year,
Yeah.
what exactly were you trying to study and what was your goal? What are you trying to reach?
Right. So I was trying to study kinesiology. I really wanted to, occupational therapist, physical therapist, maybe even a physical education teacher. I just kind of wanted to explore my avenue in there. So it really didn't matter what they had 3 different emphasis in kinesiology. So it didn't matter which one I got. I could go
do really
either
whatever.
route. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was kind of where I was studying.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so is that what you ended up doing in Cal Poly as well?
Yes.
Your degree.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And what's your highest degree level right now?
So right now I do have my master's degree.
Period.
Yep. I got my master's degree. As soon as I got done with my bachelor's, I went straight into a master's program. And it took me about a year. So I got my master's degree. I was 21 years old when I got my master's degree. Yeah.
And let's talk about that little point right there that you said you went straight into it.
Yeah.
And that's where we're different. Well, I did go into my master's degree.
Right.
However, life happens.
Right.
And so with that being said, though, that is a very, very important part. So for those of you that are planning to play college basketball and continue planning to play, if you plan on getting your master's degree afterwards, go right into it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now, we get it. Life happens. That doesn't mean to just cut school off. Okay. Degrees do matter. There's like, for example, we're both coaches. There's certain schools that are looking for that master's degree.
Oh, yeah.
Now, sometimes it won't matter based off connections.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So if you have a connection and you have your bachelor's, it'll work for you. But definitely go for your master's degree. And that's something that I just kind of wanted to give advice on, is that.
Oh, yeah, 1,000%.
And she agrees with me. So with everything that has happened from your freshman year of high school to your senior year of college, what happened in your life? What were some struggles that you had to deal with?
All right, let me sit up for this one. Hold up. So I think, to open up to you guys and to tell you, we're all human and we all go through things, and, it could be the worst of things or not the worst of things, but, everybody goes through stuff. So you always, my mindset has always been, I'm still living, I'm still here. I'm not missing a leg, I'm not missing an arm.
Right.
So whatever I go through, it could be worse. It could be worse. That's always
Yeah.
been my mindset.
Yeah.
I dealt with a lot of struggles through basketball.
Mhm.
Freshman year at MSJC, I had my first loss that was close to me in my family. I lost my grandpa, so that was hard for me.
That's that's not your uncle.
No, not my uncle. No,
Okay.
I lost my grandpa, so he was my last grandparent. Or no,
Okay.
I lied. He's not my last grand. He was my second to last grandparent.
Sorry, other grandparents.
Yeah. So
that are
lost my
left.
grandparent, and that was really difficult for me because I spent many years taking care of him. He had lost both of his legs, so he needed that one-on-one care all the time. So at a really young age, I was helping my mom care for him. So lost him, but basketball was an outlet. That was my outlet. So that made me go harder in basketball and
Coach Mo and Coach Fonte, they always be telling us like, just give us an hour, 2
yeah,
hours,
yeah.
3 hours, however long practice was. Just give us that time to
Yeah.
just forget what's going on
Oh yeah,
outside.
oh yeah. And that's basketball was my escape. So it never that never affected my game, but outside of basketball, like having to deal with schoolwork and
Yeah.
continuing with life was a struggle. I went into my sophomore year. That was a little bit easier. I had a couple ups and downs of getting sick. I had tonsillitis all the time. My tonsils was swelling up like crazy.
Yeah.
I was getting shots in my ass. It was horrible. It was horrible, but I made it.
Right.
I made it.
Did you end up getting those removed?
No, I didn't. I tried to recently get them removed, but 26-year-old ain't got no insurance. Get your insurance.
Right.
Can't get them out. But I went into my junior year of college. Again, experienced another loss. My cousin was murdered. So experienced that loss. That was really tough for me because she was young.
Yeah.
So super young. She was about around maybe like 26 or 27.
Yeah. That's young.
Yeah, so it was hard, like seeing her in her casket, those different things. So that kind of, it did not affect my game, but it did affect my mental, like outside of the court. You know what I'm saying? So
because you have a life like outside of
Yeah,
basketball.
life outside of basketball. So I think trying to juggle that loss with school and basketball was challenging.
So were those losses, were they about a year apart? Or 2 years?
Those were 2 years apart. So 2015, I lost my grandpa.
Okay.
And lost my cousin in 2018. So yeah, 2 years apart.
Okay.
2 years apart. So that was just that was my first time dealing with anxiety and depression. I dealt with that a lot. It was super difficult, but hey, I got through that. So moving into my senior year,
but that's real though.
Yeah, it's
Go
real.
ahead
Yeah.
And let them know that. Yeah. Anxiety and depression, it's real.
Oh yeah, it's real.
You know what I mean?
'Cause I'm already getting emotional because I dealt with a lot. So
yeah. And she just needs to be very proud of where she is, because I know that, and I'll speak on her behalf of what she's told me so far, and I know that about a year ago or so,
yeah,
she got really sick, to the point where she couldn't coach, and it's a very scary thing, and so everyone's like, where's Slim, where's Coach, where's da da da,
Yep.
and it's life, and this is exactly why I wanted to bring this platform to the table, because I think it's super important. We all deal with things differently, and I remember I had texted her and I'm like, hey, you doing okay? Like, where you been at? And that's when she just opened up to me. And, not a lot of times people, they're willing to tell you their story. They just tell you, oh, like, I'm sick, or I've been out, or whatever the case is. And so with her, she got sick. And so there's only so much that you can help somebody. But I was there for her, and I just told her, I'm like, just do the little things. And I offered my help in what I know that I can do. And that's like taking her to the gym, or going and getting something to eat, or just having a conversation with her and letting her forget about, just for a split second, what she's going through, and so
Yeah.
I tried to do my best.
Yeah.
And I remember exactly, like it was yesterday,
Oh yeah.
of when she opened up and told me that she was sick. And it's not just like
Yeah.
type stuff. It's
Yeah.
like mentally, physically,
Oh yeah.
emotionally,
Yeah.
everything. And so it's a very, very real thing.
Yeah.
And so we want you to know that, well, I want you to know
Yeah.
that I'll love you. I'll always
Yeah.
love you, and that you'll always have a friend in me, like
Yeah.
no matter
Yeah.
what.
Yeah. No, and I
So
appreciated you because it was huge. Like,
yeah,
it helped
it's
me get
mhm.
through it. So it was huge.
And
Yeah.
it's hard not being able to tell the
Yeah.
girls, and you might have told some of them, but
Yeah.
and if you didn't, then it's hard,
Oh yeah.
to have that conversation. And so just kind of picking back up, where you left off.
Yeah.
So just be proud, man.
Oh yeah.
So going into your junior year, you
Or
said?
it's the senior year
Senior
now, because
year,
yeah,
okay.
junior year is where all that anxiety was happening, and
Yeah.
and like she said, it's physical. I felt I couldn't sleep. We had weight rooms about 5 o'clock in the morning,
Ooh,
and I would be
baby.
up all night because my chest was hurting so bad. I didn't know it was anxiety though, but dealt with a lot of chest pains and different things. But
Yeah.
if you're mentally strong, you get through anything.
Yeah.
Honestly, so it's all in here. It's the mental.
Yeah.
Moving into my senior year though, it got more difficult.
Mhm. Take your moment, girl. Take your moment. Yeah, like she said, it's just see, it's just hard in general, and that's just life, trying to balance. For example, she's trying to balance two losses. She's trying to balance anxiety, depression. She's trying to balance being a student, a student athlete at that, and she's also trying to balance um grieving. Grieving is a real thing, and it'll hit you. You know, Today she could be talking about her grandpa, and tomorrow it's gonna hit her,
Oh
and she
yeah.
could be talking about a memory, and it's like, dang, like I miss my grandpa, or I miss whoever it is that you're missing, you know, and it's real. It's real, and this is raw, you know what I mean? And that's exactly why I want to do this, because somebody out there is dealing with anxiety at a young age. Someone's dealing with depression at a young age.
Oh yeah.
So for them to hear you and know that you have gone through that you went through, and that you're still going through, because you're still dealing with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're still dealing with it. And on the outside looking in, I feel like she's doing a much better job. Um, Now, internally, she might still be dealing with things that, you're not ready to talk about and stuff
Right.
like that.
Right.
But, on the outside looking in, like, I feel like she's doing a much better job. And we'll get into that, because she's going to talk about where she's at now, and
Right. Right.
things like that.
Right.
So,
Right.
but we understand that going into your senior year was a
Yeah.
lot harder,
Yeah.
and so I'll just go ahead and pass that back to you.
Yeah. Well, let me stop being a little punk. No, it's
fine.
crazy. It's crazy that I'm getting emotional because I haven't cried since my cousin was murdered
Yeah.
back in 2018. I haven't shedded a tear, so it's weird talking about it.
Well, it's also because, and I was telling, it's just like, you don't always have to be strong.
Oh yeah.
And that's the thing, is you don't always have to be strong. You don't always have to show that you're being strong, because I'm sure that you're gonna go in your car,
Oh, yeah.
drive home, be like, why the hell did I cry?
No, I really am. I really am.
She really got to be go back in the car, like, why the hell did I cry? But
it is what it
needs
is.
to come out.
Yeah, it is what it is.
You know what I mean? And that's the whole point of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so going back into your
Yeah,
senior
so
year.
getting back to the senior year, I had another rough loss. I'm trying not to
Mhm.
cry again because
This one's your uncle, huh?
Yeah.
I remember this one, and I just got the chills. But I remember this one because her uncle, boy, he used to be in them stands. he used to be cheering her on like that
Yep.
was her number one fan. Like, forget about the daddy, forget about the mom. That was her number one fan. And so just think like, and I want you to know that, just think like you are making him proud. You have multiple jobs right now and you're making him proud. Okay? And don't think that you're not. So he's looking down on you, and I want you to know that any signs that you may see from him or a memory, like, just goes to show you that he's watching over you. And
Right.
don't ignore it.
Yeah.
Because I've had another episode.
Yeah.
Or not even an episode. I was just actually talking to Ducky off camera about, and we'll get into my life eventually, but I had a sign of Malik's dad, Cornell.
Yeah.
And I never understood why I kept seeing a white butterfly.
Mm-hmm.
And so it wasn't until Malik said something to my sister.
Yeah.
And said, Daddy only sends white butterflies,
Mm-hmm.
like clear as day. And so then my sister told me, and I was like, that explains why. And this, I'm talking about back in the casino.
Yeah, yeah.
I would drive to work every single day, seeing this butterfly, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty, and not knowing what it really meant, type stuff. And so I'm just thankful, for the spirit.
Yeah, the physical signs is like, it's just Cornell say, hey, I'm okay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Or I'm protecting you, I'm watching over you, and whatever the case is. But yeah, we can just talk about to the extent of how great your uncle was.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about a memory.
Yeah, because he was funny. Crazy. Yeah, he was crazy.
And he was funny.
Yeah, he was at the games, man. We love our last name, Malvo,
Yeah.
So he yelled, Crystal Malvo,
man, he should have been the one speaking.
Yeah, the speaker. Yeah, he would yell the entire game. He would stand up the entire game. Mm-hmm. You just heard his voice the entire game,
the entire loudest one.
Yep.
Along with the what's them red people called? Code Red.
Oh yeah, Code Red. Yeah.
They used to be at our games.
Yeah.
I think they stopped it now.
Yeah.
But they used to be at our games, and Code Red is like what is it? Recovering.
Yeah.
Addicts or
and
alcoholics or things like that.
Yeah.
And so they had their own section in the gym, and it was like our spirit crew. Mm-hmm. Like they was lit though. They was lit. Like so lit. We couldn't hear nothing in the gym. Coach Mo used to be so mad at me, like, nigga, she don't know the play no more. I can't hear you. Yeah. And that's just, it is what it is,
No, that's real.
And we appreciate y'all. So if this reaches y'all, thank y'all. Y'all were in there doing your thing.
Yep.
But yeah, your uncle he was really a great guy from what we all seen.
Oh yeah.
You know, and so yeah, just be proud of that.
Yeah, but in the senior year, he was a big part of my basketball career, things like that.
Because he was always there.
Yeah, and I still didn't let all those things affect, me on the court and my basketball. I just I dealt with it off the court.
Right.
It did. My academics were always great. I always found a way to get my work done, even if it was at 11:59, or that assignment due at midnight.
Girl,
at 11:59.
Yeah,
I still figured it out. I always had 3.6 GPA or higher. I graduated my bachelor's with a 3.6, my master's with a 3.7.
Mm-hmm.
Left MSJC with a 3.9, with 2 associate degrees. So my grades were always great.
Mm-hmm.
It was just figuring a way. You have to figure out a way how to just deal with things, and not bottling them up. Because that was my mistake. I kind of just threw it behind me, like, okay, well, I got to focus on this. I got to focus on that.
Yeah.
But finding other ways, because there's ways. There's therapy. There's, you could talk to people.
Yeah.
But that would be advice, is just talk to people, go to therapy, get the help.
Yeah.
Instead of just trying to deal with it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And throw it behind you.
Yeah.
In the long run, it'll catch up to you.
Oh yeah. It'll catch up. Like
it'll
right now.
And that's okay. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with getting help. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. There's nothing wrong with giving help. So if you think that you can help somebody, help them, or give them some advice. Um, so with everything that you've been through and things that you may not have mentioned today,
Yeah.
What have you learned from it, and what's something that you will let everyone know?
I think overall, like learning from all.
Just from learning basketball,
Yeah.
workouts, all that. Like, what's something that you would give to them?
I mean, anybody that is out there playing in any sport, any athlete, your sport, it builds you into the person you're gonna be after you're done. Whether you continue to go professionally and things like that, you're developing life skills through sports. You're developing how to respect people. You're developing how to be, more mature, how to raise your kids. Believe it or not,
Yeah.
you're becoming like a better woman.
Yeah.
How to take,
Or a man.
yeah, or a man, or how to take care of people, how to work as a team, how to build, how to communicate, and which goes into your relationships with other people, your significant other, your parents, your
Right.
best friends.
Yeah, it all just
Yeah,
trickles down.
it's just it's a great experience. So I just think you should give it your all. So if you really love it, give it 110%, and leave it all out on the floor or the field or whatever your sport is. Just leave it all
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about where you're at today,
Right.
because I just can't believe a lot of the things that she's doing. I can believe it. Like, I can believe that she's a coach. Like, I truly can believe that. I just can't believe all the other jobs that she's done or that she's doing now. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about where you are, what jobs you got, how'd you get there, what was your interest in getting those jobs?
Right. Well, to start with my coaching job over at, I coach at Mount St. Jacinto as the assistant women's basketball coach, and
Period.
That came from connection, but also just being respected when I played there by the coaches that were there, and them knowing that I was going to be capable. I was told by Fonte, when you're done with school, you're coming back and you're coaching. She told me that, like, and I didn't believe her. I just laughed. I didn't think she was serious. We had just began COVID, and I was looking for jobs. I was like, okay. At the time I was working at Amazon, but I was looking for more. Then I got a phone call from her, and she's like, "You're gonna go do this application right now, and then you're gonna come coach." I'm like, "Okay." So I did the application. Next thing you know, I'm coaching. I'm at MSJC. I'm training girls during COVID. Well, first we started online, but when we were able to go back at it, it had to be outside and open field, 6 feet apart, different things.
Yeah. Oh,
but,
man, that was a tough
time. So dealing with the adversity of that, but started coaching. Been doing that going on to my 4th year there. I had got my master's degree, so I became a professor as well. So I teach physical education as a part-time on the campus. I also was working full-time as a caregiver. So I was doing that. They were very flexible working with like my school and my basketball when season came around. So I was doing that full-time. Then I became a substitute teacher for Lake Elsinore Unified School District. So I substitute as well. I was a basketball coach on the weekends every Saturday for little kids. There's something else in there.
This is all like,
yeah. Well, this was all going on at once.
At once, right?
Yes, at once, and
so
then
multiple jobs.
Yeah, multiple jobs, and then I ended up letting go of that full-time caregiving job. So, but I'm still currently I'm still a coach, professor. I'm a head high school basketball coach to Temescal Canyon High School.
Shout out to y'all.
Yep, I'm a substitute in 2 districts, Lake Elsinore Unified and Patriot Unified School District. I'm a assistant basketball coach at Patriot High School. And that's pretty much it that I'm doing right now. But I love money, man.
and that's what we was gonna get into.
Yeah.
And in fact, can I say it?
Yeah, go ahead. Oh yeah, you can say it.
Okay.
You can say it.
Yo, she just got a new car. That thing is nice. No, that thing is nice, y'all. What is it?
A Kia K5.
Oh, I knew it was a Kia, but I
Yeah.
don't know all that extra
Kia
stuff.
K5 GT line, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
look it
thing
up.
is smooth.
Yeah, it's smooth.
We looked at it before she had came in, and so yeah, it's really nice. So yeah, just I mean, look at you, man. Just be proud of yourself. I know you're
Yeah.
working really, really hard though to get your money, but you're also, I know for the most part you're okay with your money.
Oh
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
But just just keep doing what you're doing, but at the end of the day, don't stress yourself out.
Oh yeah.
Don't be doing all
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
extra
don't
stuff
don't
to,
take on too much.
because we don't want you
Yeah.
to take those 10 steps
Oh yeah.
backwards. We want you to keep thriving and keep
Mhm.
improving and keep touching all the lives that you are
Mhm.
touching, because I know you know a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I hope that this I hope that this just connects so much more people that don't know you,
Yeah.
that may reach out to you
Yeah.
and be like, hey, how did you handle this, or how did
Mhm.
you handle that? And now you can give advice and
Yeah.
help those that may ask for help.
Right. Right.
So, well, is there anything else that you wanted to share with us, before we
I mean, just
zippity
yeah,
dip?
just obviously, whatever sport you're doing, whatever sport you're in, give it 110%. So I'm just recapping: 110%. Go hard. Don't let your grades fall, because
Mm-hmm.
that just can't happen. Um, and then after you're done, if you're done after college, or if you go pro for a few years and you're done, use your degree. Do not take another route without exploring what you got your degree in first.
Right. Yeah,
Use it.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I see
Yeah.
what you're saying. Take like a take the opportunity to get a job in your degree, and then that's when you'll realize like this ain't for me,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then you can maybe look at going to
Yeah.
school again and
Yeah.
trying a different degree.
Yeah.
Now, that's something that I just want to go back on, because for myself, I personally wish that I would have gotten more direction
Right.
into, like, for me, my degree is health and physical education with a
Mhm.
minor in coaching.
Mhm.
Now, I wish that someone would have maybe emphasized more, like, okay, well, if you do become a teacher, do you
Right.
want to teach English, history,
Yeah.
math,
Multiple subject.
multiple
Mhm.
subject type thing? And that's something that I kind of not struggle with, but it's very hard now, because now only what I can do is either substitute or be a physical education teacher. Um, but for me, I'm a tutor, which
Yeah.
it's still kind of the same thing. But yeah, I just wish that I had that help
Yeah.
too, of saying like, hey, maybe try this route. And with this route, you have all these different options
Yeah.
to look
And
at.
and for
So,
those of you that think it's like too late, like Serena saying she can only do these physical education and substituting, um, it's not. You go get your master's, and make that a multiple subject.
mhm,
You're set. You can still do that. You can go get
yeah.
your master's degree. Because just like me, I had a couple bumps too. I got my master's degree, but with no credential attached, because I said I'm never going to teach at the public school. I just wanted to stay in college. You only need your master's degree to teach in college, which is weird, right? It seems backwards. Um, so I might have to go back and get my credentials so I can teach at the public school as well.
Okay.
But that's something I'm looking into. But I went and got my master's degree, and I made my emphasis broader.
Okay.
Because I got my bachelor's in kinesiology pedagogy, which is physical education.
Oh, okay.
But in my master's degree, I opened it up to where I could be more of the occupational therapist,
Yeah,
physical
yeah.
therapist,
Okay.
because I got it in exercise science. So my degree is in kinesiology of
Right.
science.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah. Well, I just want to say thank you for taking time out of your day to come out here and share your story with everyone, and even myself. There's always going to be things. The people that I bring on, I know them, but I don't know them.
Right.
And so this is like the hot seat. So it takes a lot to sit here and tell you, let them tell you their story. It does take a lot, and there's a camera on them. So I just want to say thank you for my Starbucks too,
Oh yeah.
and coming on here
Yeah, of
and
course.
just opening up and I wish you nothing but the best.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate this. It's been great.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, y'all. We'll see y'all later.